just a little bit of relaxation music. Personally, I like the steel guitar. I find it pretty relaxing, and they're not an easy thing to play, but something I'm learning. G'day, Justin. Thanks for coming along, mate. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it. Now, normally, as you know, I do a bit of news and things like that. Mainly good news, feel good news. It's been a bit of a battle this week. I couldn't find any because the bombing had really, those bombings and things had really taken over the news, and then of course the Tourism Authority and things like that saying that the kingdom was safe. G'day, Steve. How you going, mate? Thanks for coming along. Yeah, the kingdom was safe and all of that, and they're right. But those bombings, and we kind of touched over it on the weekend. They're virtually a political statement, really not designed to hurt anybody, but they did. It's to bring awareness, and unfortunately, those kind of things have been happening in the kingdom. In the south, it's ethnic. It's about land. It's been going on for that long. It's not funny. Those kind of tactics have been used. And it's appalling. It's really appalling that those kind of things especially in the south, with no care to life if you don't belong to well, let's just say a religious group, where they class other people, other human beings as not on the same level as them. With a few shootings in the schools, it was one of those things I was never going to talk about. G'day, Steve. Thanks for coming along, mate. It was something I wasn't going to talk about, but like I say, I'd been at it trying to find the good news stories this week, and it was just overrun with the bombings and the Mekong, and we've talked about the Mekong and the Chinese blocking the water flows and things like that. There's over 40 billion cubic metres of water. G'day, Fred. How you going, mate? Thanks for coming along. Yeah, over 40 billion cubic metres of water that the Chinese are holding. They're going to do tests for the hydros and things like that, but the devastating effects, run right down the Mekong. G'day, Dom. How you going, mate? Thanks for coming along. Coombar. G'day, buddy. Thanks, mate, for coming along. Yeah, so, it's... But then I couldn't find a good news story this week. So that was what I was kind of about. So it was all I can talk a little bit about, a little bit of doom and gloom. And I was just going to touch upon an apology about last week. The stream wasn't working, and I couldn't get it to work. Last week was a little bit... There was quite a few things going on, and... as a lot of you know, a good mate of mine, Aussie, g'day, mate. Thanks for coming along. That mate of mine died while I was over in Thailand, and last Monday, his daughter brought his ashes around for a visit. Might sound morbid to some, but we did a few reflections and watched a few different little videos, and so that was kind of emotional. And then that other little bit of stuff that was going on. I always defend my mates, and have. G'day, TJ. Thanks for coming along, mate. Always have. It was something that I've done all my life. Maybe that comes from the days of the green uniform, but it's just something I'm about. People can say it was right, people can say it was wrong. I don't, to me, it felt very, very right. Because we watched this person attack others many, many times, and the times when they reached out for some help, I had no hesitations. What a lot of you people don't realise, with some of those attacks come along some doxing, call it what you like, some very, 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 very bad, appalling, disgusting messages in the lines of people's partners, children, all that would get bought into it. So it's very, very easy to get very, very passionate about it. Passed along to the AFP, the cybercrimes unit, because it is bullying and harassment and those kind of things. That's their speciality. They deal with that, and it doesn't matter where it comes from. They do it. They deal with it, and that's what's happening. As far as that person goes, over it. This is the last time I'm going to talk about it. With the whole thing of that, gained some friends, lost some. That happens. Bit disappointed in a few people, but life goes on. It'll probably happen again, not necessarily to myself or the others that are closer to me, but they're just going to have to deal with it themselves. Bit of a sad state of affairs, that, but being stabbed in the back a few times, it's not a good feeling. But anyhow, each to their own. Another thing I normally talk about is the money. The money. All right, TJ, you're aware what's been going on the collaborative channel and other things like that. I'm just explaining my part of it and what's been going on behind the scenes, mate, that a lot of other people didn't know. And while I became so vicious, I bully you, Justin, because I love you. You know what? I don't do like that. There's no more nothing. Like I say, it's in the hands of the federal police with all the messaging and all that kind of stuff. Like I say, all over the world we've got cyber crimes, and they can deal with it, and the people responsible for it. So we can just get along to what we do best. And I can't do what I do best today because I haven't got any feel-good news for you, because there's none. I've got to talk about the money. That's even more, the exchange rates, that's even more devastating than if you were standing in front of one of those bombs, I hope to tell you, folks. I never thought I was going to say that, but yeah. So this week, I haven't got anything really fun to talk about. Except for, like I say, the apologies for last week's stream. I hope you understand that. We've talked about the news over the weekend and stuff like that, and I always save the good ones for Monday. But yeah, like I haven't won ones. I passed that along with the tourist that got caught skinny dipping. That would have been interesting, but. TJ, the cricket. I'm not a big man on the cricket, but I'm a big man behind Australia. I don't think the Englishmen really want to talk a hell of a lot about the cricket at the moment, but let's face it, it's a test match. That can turn around at any time. Yeah, Dom, that's why I'm not really talking about the money, mate. The Australian dollar, it's gone down the toilet. The Thai baht is very, very strong. But you've heard me say it before, unless you're really in love with the country or your partner or girlfriend or something like that, that's Fred, AFP is Australian Federal Police, and they deal with all that kind of stuff. cybercrime, anything within the borders. It's the main crime agency. Now we've all got our state police and things like that, but the Australian Federal Police they look after the bigger immigration stuff with the Immigration Department. But when it comes to police, they're the top end of the police in Australia, mate. Yeah, Dom. China's manipulating a lot of things. I think at the moment, from watching trends over the time, I think the Thai baht will start to pull back probably just after Christmas. That's my prediction. I think it'll pull back a little bit, and then going into next year, I think we'll see it, move down a little bit. It also comes on world trade, a lot of that kind of stuff. And a lot of our countries in the world market, as far as money and stuff like that, we've got the political things. Like Australia's just gone through an election, and it's stabilising itself for that matter. England's kind of went through a change, and the BritX. So the big money market people look at that as not quite stable. The Americans and the Chinese are doing their little bit of a dance there. So everything's all over the place to that matter. For us, the common person, value for money. It's been reported a lot of people heading to Vietnam, Laos, some to Cambodia, and Myanmar is slowly but surely picking up quite a few tourists, because Myanmar, a good amount of English is spoken in, and also in Vietnam there's a good amount of English spoken in. So for people out and about, having others that you can converse with in your own language, that make things a lot easier. Not to say that Thailand haven't got a few, but for me that kind of adds to it, because obviously the wife comes from Thailand, and we've got that bit of investment there, and things like that. So not that we're kind of stuck there. If we want to go holiday, we can go to planet if we want to. Yeah, Steve, some of those big Cuban cigars, that'd be interesting. But it's the people on the other, or the northern part of the hemisphere, even Prince was this year going to go back to Thailand, but in a bit of a couple of chats with him, he was going into the South American areas, dollar value, and I don't blame anybody. Like Steve Eaton, for instance, it's a baht's still a baht in Thailand, but when it's converting from an English pound, it makes a big difference. Yeah, TJ, yeah. I am a bit distracted tonight. A little bit about what's going on. I couldn't really put the full attention I needed to into the stream, because I spent hours and hours going through all the news feeds, like I always do, and I mainly like talking about the good things in Thailand, mate. And I couldn't find a happy news one. I couldn't find one, because, like I say, the bombings and all that kind of thing, it had taken up all the news feeds pretty well. And we don't want to talk about a whole heap of more people got rounded up without overstays and stuff like that. I don't really want to get into that either. But yeah, I was a bit peed off with that, TJ. So it's just me talking tonight. But the baht strength, that's good for a country, especially in the country. I talked to my wife about it, and she said, "Well, I don't care. You go to Thailand, baht's baht, but when you start to convert it, it takes the shine off it a bit." So, like I say, when I first started going there, I think it was 36 or 38 baht to $1. This year when I went over, I got 21, bit over 21.90. I was pretty, and it's down to 20.80 or something like that the other day. Usually Wednesday is about the best day to trade if you're going to do that. That's what I've found. But if I go back to the days of when I used to travel to the Philippines, you start to see a few things. The first time I went to the Philippines, I think I was getting about 38 to 40 peso to $1, and over a few years, it dropped down to just under 30. But at one stage there, the American dollar dropped down to below the Australian dollar, and they refloated it. And the next day, it was about 12 hours or something like that. It was up. So I'm not sure. Exactly, and I've seen it kind of happen around every 5 or 7 years. A few, but this year it hasn't quite done it. Maybe what's taking that bit of shine off it is the world trade thing with the American political system and the Chinese setup, and like I say, the other countries with elections and things like that. Hopefully, very soon it'll all get back on track, and we can get a bit better value for our baht. Yes, Steve. I think I spoke about it when I went over. It used to be just the face recognition. Hello, how you going? Everything matched up, no worries. But it was the fingerprints, and a chap ahead of me, I think he was about fourth in the line. They were questioning him about stuff, and he was bringing out reams of paper and carrying on. And in the end, a couple of larger guards took him for a little walk, and that was reported that he was trying to use fake passports and things like that. So, yeah, the biometric system is working, and it's getting a few, and why not? We go there for holidays and whatever, and it's nice to think of a nice safe country, which I believe Thailand is. So if these biometrics are keeping out those kind of people, I don't mind waiting an extra half an hour, in honesty, because that could turn around to being somebody's safety and security. Like the Nigerian romance scam. I think that's lower than scam. So that's really, really good. I go to Thailand to enjoy myself. I go there for the weather, obviously for family, and I think you people know I love to travel the country, and I do it by public transport. So you're really out there meeting people and doing stuff like that. Oh, not well. I've found Dom. As I'm coming through. You just kind of get told, go and stand there, go and stand there, go and stand there. If I'm actually with with my wife, we get sent across to the Thai only thing, and that's because I'm with my wife. But travelling by myself, it's just a case of you just get sent to a whatever line. So I haven't really come across that one, but I can understand. But the bloke that was in front of me on that occasion, trying to do the dodgy. So yeah, race colour and creed doesn't seem to matter for dodgy scams. So yeah, I know what you're saying, Dom. Yeah, I know what you're saying, mate. What did you say? What did you say, Steve? Lost another wicket. Oh, well, another couple of days to go. See what happens. Then they'll go into the second test and the third test. That's cricket. Like I say, I'm not a big cricket fan. I like the what we have here is the T20s or the Big Bash stuff. It's like tippity run. So they just get onto a ball and give it all the curry they can. If they miss it, they're out. That's a bit entertaining. I don't mind that, especially they've got the glow in the dark balls and all that kind of stuff. They've put a bit into it to get the interest and keep that up on the cricket side of things. But it attracts my interest every now and again. Because I come from Victoria, and AFL is the football, what we call football, Australian Football League. Something I grew up with. I don't really kind of understand the rugby all that much and some of that. But even our game, it's got to the stage where rolling around the mud and the blood and the beer, and now it's like a pack of ballerinas. If you want to see somebody get splattered all over the floor and knocked out, you watch the women's netball, which is a non-contact sport. It seems rougher, and they're a hell of a lot prettier, just quietly. Yeah. So bugger, I lost my train again. Getting back to Thailand. I did tell you a story. And this is one that really, the two stories that really stick in my mind. When I'll tell you about that in a minute, Steve. When I moved that hotels up to Unot, and I was walking up to 7-Eleven to get a couple of snacks and a few bits and pieces. I was a little bit early for the 7-Eleven to grab a couple of beers. And I was just sitting under that walk-over pass thing out of the sunshine. I had the hat off, and my hat was sitting on the ground with my phone kind of like on the peak. And, middle-aged Tyler just kind of threw some change in my hat. And I was a bit shocked. And and I kind of, my and take it back. I didn't want her to lose face, and I said, "No, I'm okay. Sabay." And that was fine. And like I say, the next day on the train, it was a little bit crowded, and I suppose she would have been about 30, 35. Offered me a seat, and I thought, shit, I must be being an old bastard. But that's Thailand that I know. Yes, Steve. The Sydney meetup. I went up to the Sydney meetup. That was good. Mossy was there. It was a bit of fun. Mossy went up. Had a few beers, had a bit of a joke, and there was a couple pulled out at the last minute. But in honesty, I reckon that was their loss. No, it was good. It was good to actually meet people face to face and have a bit of a talk. And one thing about it, you can talk about anything when you're face to face having a couple of beers. It was a good night, bloody good thing. That sore behind me, Mossy. That was one of the sores off the off the farm, and down the road there's a bloke that does this kind of artwork, and that artwork is based upon the typical farm type setup around this area. Russian hacker, AFP. Do not forget the AFP. They look at everything, mate. There's divisions set up for everything. Delusional, I am not. You're entitled to your opinion, mate. I've got no problems about that. You report these things, and yeah, we rely on the AFP to do their job. And we've seen that as far as other things, and in the Kingdom of Thailand, that with their contacts there, that has happened. So delusional, no, I'm not. Hopeful, yes, I am. Yeah, Mossy, it was good. No problems with that, mate. Bloody good night. I hadn't been to Sydney for quite a long time, and like I say, the wife had never been to Sydney, so a little bit annoyed with the choice of air carrier on the way up. Being 70 minutes late, we were going to go on the harbour cruise, and with being late, well, on that. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter. We had a good walk around and a few things, and yeah, it was quite good. I kind of wish I had have spent an extra day, so we could have gone out a little bit more and looked at it, mainly for Nitz's sake. When I was younger, and that used to be in Sydney pretty regular. Most of the capital cities. Aussie Flyer, g'day mate. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, I'm trying to get. What am I doing here? I'm trying to press buttons, so I don't know what. I'm kind of only new at this, but anyhow, I'm trying to. No, that wasn't what I wanted. Oh, here we go. I think we might have it. I'm trying to get this one up and going. Hopefully, a couple of blokes are in New South, and a couple up in Queensland have indicated that they're going to do their darndest. But it's not that far away. The 24th. Now, mind you, this little place. Look, it's a good place to start off and then just see what happens. And like I say, you can go out into the Federation Square area from the place where you can go if that's on, say, the north side, or you can sit out and have a smoke. You can do the same on the south side where you're looking at the Yarra River. So I'm going to try and get that one up and going. I'm going to be there anyway. So yeah, if any is feel like wandering around on the 24th, I actually think it'd be an enjoyable afternoon. And the reason I kind of said, like a lunchtime thing, is if anybody was from out of state, flying in, and because air flights aren't that expensive, they could fly in, have a couple of beers, meet up, and catch a nighttime flight back home. Not necessarily have to stay overnight and things like that. So it was, I'm kind of big on the meet up things, because you actually get to meet some other vloggers, whatever, and some other wonderful people, and that's what life's all about to me. I think it's bloody good that you can go out, meet other people. You can agree to disagree, but no one has to get nasty. You can have a few beers and have a laugh, and that's always good. It's always good. It shows you're not just shows you're a real human being, not just a made up persona behind a screen with a whatever kind of attitude you want to project yourself as. It shows you're a real person. And believe me, I think Justin and Steve will tell you, and Mossy, I'm no different behind the camera than in front of it. But that's all good. 12 people arrested, Justin, in relation to that the bombing thing. I knew they got some students and a few others and that, and after going through the news, I just kind of switched off. I was over it, and realistically, like I say, I think it's more politically motivated than anything else. So you'll never know the whole extent of it. We in this part of the world only get told what they want us to hear to a certain extent, and even the Thais aren't finding out a hell of a lot about it. I can remember back to the around Nana there, when the big coup was on and things like that. I can remember the smaller little demonstrations around Monument. Unfortunately, those things happen. Here we kind of have our elections a bit more regular, and hopefully, they call it democracy. Yeah. Anyhow, we seem to get what we're given, and you vote one prime minister in, and then you end up with somebody else. And same with what's happening in England at the moment. That doesn't seem to happen so much in Thailand, but it's a shame if anybody in any political statement or any of that kind of stuff gets hurt. I think it's really, it is appalling. And on that note, gentlemen, I once again appreciate your support. And next week, I'm going to start from tomorrow on. I'm going to find a bloody good story, of even if I have to make one up. And I hope we can report on the money gets a bit better and a few things like that. So take care, stay safe, and thank you for your support. It means a lot to me. So with that, Johnny out. Good night, gentlemen.